I'm Tamara Holder, and this is Sports Court. Patriots quarterback Tom Brady appeared at NFL headquarters in New York today to appeal his 4-game suspension doled out as punishment for the Deflategate scandal that occurred almost 6 months ago. Here with insight on what we can expect from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is attorney Domenic Romano. Welcome.
Thank you.
I want to go straight into the argument that Tom Brady and his counsel are making on the appeal, and we have those up here on the screen. Goodell violated the CBA, which is the bargaining agreement with the NFLPA, by appointing Executive VP Troy Vincent, who was a former teammate of Brady's, to issue punishment. Brady's punishment is grossly inconsistent with the NFL's past discipline of similar alleged conduct. And third, the Wells report grasps at dubious, contradictory, and mischaracterized circumstantial evidence. So let's start with the last one. Circumstantial evidence.
You want to go backwards?
Yeah,
sure.
Let's start with the last. Circumstantial evidence. What do you make of this as an attorney? Was this enough?
It's a fact. There is circumstantial evidence, and there's one party responsible for that, and that's Tom Brady. Look, the investigator said it's more probable than not. Wells said it's more probable than not that he knew and was involved. You can't really deflate footballs in the NFL without direction from either the head coach or the quarterback. That's the established point of view. Now, Brady refused in the investigation to submit his text messages and his email correspondence, which would have been kept strictly confidential, which would have been reviewed only to substantiate his defense that he knew nothing about it. He failed to do that. So unless today he's at that hearing and he's willing to open the door and open the book and be clear and be honest, that suspension is going to stand. That's the bottom line. And none of the other stuff matters. So let's look at the other
So the circumstantial evidence doesn't matter then, because isn't it true? Isn't the argument that it's not about the evidence, what he would have shown or not shown, it's the fact that he was not forthright and he didn't give everything and give the evidence.
Cooperate. That's right. He did not cooperate with the investigation. So there's two things going on here. On one hand, there's the actual deflation affecting the integrity of the game. On the other hand, there's obstructing an investigation or not, well, it's a bit strong, not cooperating, fully cooperating with an investigation. And that's what he got dinged for, ultimately. That's why the suspension was as high as it was. People were predicting before it would have been a minimum of 3 and a maximum of a whole season. That was the common wisdom before it was handed out. And they landed on 4 games.
Okay, do you think that going to the 4 games and the suspension, which is also going to, I don't know, knock him, ding him $1.9 million over the 4-game period, did Goodell make a mistake by passing this off to Troy Vincent, who may have had a conflict because he was a former player, instead of doing it himself the first time like he always did, and then pass it off to somebody else on the appeal? Isn't that a little interesting?
The commissioner, like the president, has the power to delegate, certain authorities. I don't think you can find in the rules that Goodell did not have the power to delegate this to Vincent. So that's their weakest argument. The first is their weakest. The middle argument, that the punishment is grossly inconsistent, there's no precedent for this. If you look at the other suspensions that were handed down, they weren't suspensions for impeding on the integrity of the game. Cheating in this case, with deflating the footballs, arguably, whether it helped them or not, the perception was, not only the perception, the fact is it's against the rules to play with the PSI. But it wasn't the original wrong that's impacted the suspension. It was the subsequent wrong of not fully cooperating.
Okay. So to the point of the CBA and the bargaining agreement and the actual 4 corners of that, is there a legal issue here that the lawyers, regardless of the outcome today or tomorrow or whenever it comes, that they're going to go to the district court and they're going to say that there was a legal violation on the part of Goodell and the NFL?
Under the rules, the commissioner has wide discretion to protect the integrity of the game and to make sure that the rules are not a mockery and to make sure that investigators aren't obstructed. And I think if this is allowed to erode, if players are allowed to say, or league officials or teams are allowed to say, hey, look, I don't have to cooperate. I'm not going to open my books, or I'm not going to talk to the investigator. I'm not going to show my emails or text messages that could have direct relevance. Then the rules themselves won't have a lot of integrity.
Well, we'll see what happens, but remember, there's no evidence that the rules were actually broken because they have a duty to do their own investigation. And you know, as a defense attorney, that you don't have to turn over
This is not a court of law. This is not a criminal investigation. The standard is probable cause, not beyond a reasonable doubt. And Wells, who's a great lawyer, came out and said it's more probable than not, based on all the evidence, that Brady knew.
Well, we'll see, won't we? Thank you for joining us. Sports Court is adjourned.